trying to get my outfit together. I think I'm gonna go eat me some red lobster. I ain't never been arrested, never went to jail in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Nerd Chronicles with your host Christian Paul speaking. And ladies and gentlemen, we got some crazy breaking news coming out of the Atlanta, Georgia streets, in which the homeboy supermodel, rapper slash singer slash actor slash motivational speaker, Mr. Tyrese Gibson has been jailed and eventually posted bail over delinquency child support payments by his current ex-wife, Samantha Gibson, better known as Miss YouTube channel holder, Miss Love Samantha Lee.
What I've learned is that there's a backside to every blessing. Y'all ready? Let's get into it. What I've learned over time is this, that sometimes God did not answer my prayers when I wanted him to or how I wanted him to. Because God knew, as much as I thought I wanted what I wanted, when I wanted it, that honestly and truly I couldn't handle what came with what I was praying for. Sometimes our prayers should be that God prepare us for what we are praying for. The front side and the back side. Because y'all, with every new level, there is a new devil. With more influence comes more scrutiny. With promotion comes new responsibilities. With more money comes more problems. The reality is, if some of us actually got what we were praying for, we may find ourselves sabotaging it because we weren't ready for what it comes with, the backside of the blessing.
And it's kind of really funny. You know, I looked into the background basically of the Miss Samantha Lee here. At first I thought she may have been legit and thinking that, okay, she's a licensed clinical social worker, she's definitely a licensed mental health specialist. Come to find out that her home isn't fully organized as she claimed it to be. And she's not as fully well-versed due to the fact that she has a lot of chaos coming on behind the scenes, begging for more child support from her ex-husband, still to this day. Why in the heck would a child need $10,000 just for schooling? But yet, the median household in America is around the $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year.
Juicy!
Why would that child need all that money just for support and everything else? Unless she's probably using part of that money, to actually up her channel.
Juicy!
Which brings me to a huge point. Basically knowing how to vet certain mental health specialists. Seeing whether or not they are actually legit and whether they're actually calm and grounded, or they could be borderline narcissistic themselves as the ones that actually trying to warn you on which people that to actually avoid.
4 ways women lose a good man and how you can avoid it. Pay attention. Let's get into it, ladies. Men, correct me if I'm wrong. Taking them for granted. A man been so good to you for so long, you no longer see the value in them. The value in how they treat you. Not communicating well or effectively. Like expecting men to read our minds and getting mad when they can't. Being dismissive about how you make him feel or being overly defensive in response to how he feels. Basically, not liking being held accountable for your actions and how you've made that man feel. Last but not least, being selfish and unwilling to compromise.
Ladies and gentlemen, okay, I've been stressing about getting a mental health specialist if you feel any form of depression, if you feel any form of, issues or conditions that you mainly have and that you're trying to get back up on your feet, emotionally, psychologically, if you have a learning disability like myself, and you're seeking guidance with help from the social world, right? A mental health specialist, a psychiatrist, a psychiatrist would be the best place to start. Now, that part is literally easier said than done. Okay? I just want to actually try to make things very, very clear. You have to try and thoroughly know how to thoroughly vet, a mental health specialist to see if whether or not he or she is a right fit for you. Okay? And they gotta actually do these couple things that you need to actually look out for, depending on your condition, depending on your situation. Now, if your condition, for instance, if you have a learning disability that's a bit mild, or if you're dealing with like some very deep traumas that you're dealing with up in your life, or PTSD, and you hadn't had any type of serious diagnoses or conditions mentally or psychologically that may cause you to go completely apeshit, like Brandon Deeper or anything like that. I basically discussed about the situation with Brandon Deeper and the mom some time ago. Just definitely please check that out, because he does have extremely severe autism that's very low functioning and actually very high mannered and actually very high strength, a very, very high case of autism, as well as BP. I don't want to say BPD. I want to be very careful on what I say here, but it's definitely highly a case of autism. He definitely has some high struggles with emotions and everything else. Usually for his types of case, I'm actually going to discuss very, very further. You want to make sure you get a mental health specialist that doesn't really prescribe you any form of medicine whatsoever, unless it's a case of Brandon Deeper or someone with Brandon Deeper's condition. That may be an option right there. But if those that actually are on the mild side or barely made the spectrum or any other struggles when it comes to any mild learning disabilities that people are having, or any form of depression that they have, or any traumas that they have, you want to avoid the pills if possible. Do your best to actually avoid these pills as much as you can, so your head is still stayed on straight. Number one, you want to actually try and deal with that. Now, two, yes, you got to get to know your mental health specialist. Understand, which specialists are definitely in network with your insurance. You got to factor those things out as well. BetterHelp actually does profit those things, but it does require a fee. However, now, if you're looking for mental health specialists that actually are in network with your insurance that they allow, you have to look at the specialists that are within your region on where you currently live. That could be definitely a good fit for you. Or if you see anybody that's like a mental health specialist or a life coach that can literally try to help guide you on around, ain't nothing more gonna know them deeper. And which is a huge another one point. Get to know your mental health specialist or life coach much, much deeper. Okay, it's very important that you do that so that you'll be able to vet them thoroughly later down the line to see if either he or she literally is a long-term fit, which is really the most important part. It may take days, it may take certain months, but it should definitely take you some months, because you need to know about that person's background and how they got to the point where they are today, not only academic wise, but also when it comes to outside of work, outside of career, outside of professionalism and anything else. Does he have any hidden skeletons up in his or her closet? Is her life well structured and socially, basically outside the home? You know what I'm saying? Yes, people make mistakes here and there and everything else. It could be reckless, but is their life actually either structured or helter-skelter? Now, if that specialist's life is actually helter-skelter and they don't actually follow what they actually preach, actually give the advice to you, run, just like Forrest Gump. Okay, that's really the most important thing that I really want to point out, ladies and gentlemen, here. All right, because if you don't run, you could literally be caught up in the same trap that she's in, or he's in the case of Samantha Lee here. Basically, she's actually trying to give out good advice on what type of women to avoid, owing to the fact that she's actually giving herself some warnings, and at least be able to avoid women like her. That's a bit helter-skelter narcissistic, and she won't even admit that type of ordeal. Right? So that's basically the most important thing is, I wouldn't say validation, but verification as to making sure that Their life is well structured. They do have a structured house. They do have a structured family. They're not playing with anybody. They're not being selfish towards anyone else. Details do matter in cases like this. You know what I mean? That would be a huge thing for having like a legitimate mental health specialist and an illegitimate mental health specialist. And in the case of Samantha Lee here, we know this woman is clearly illegitimate, like the modern day Fresh and Fit, like the modern day Sneeko, like the modern day Rollo Tomasi, you know, these quote unquote pseudo feminine guru coaches, you know, that actually want to try a good game and actually teach women or modern women how to be more feminine and everything else. You know, the modern day Pearl Davis, right? You know, it's very, very funny where you actually try to actually shame modern woman behavior, actually call out modern woman behavior for all the tactics that they mainly do. And I know some of them actually do like a lot of shady stuff and actually try to use men, and I understand those cases. I understand about the part about the whole child support system and the family court. I've learned that stuff from like legitimate lawyers up in the YouTube space as well. And I basically listened to the Phil Scott show in which he himself got fleeced. I'm not dismissing any of that at all. And we can't dismiss that any of that at all. The issue is you try to utilize these types of advices that you give all these advices on what's the steps to actually avoid these types of my woman actually exposing these types, but yet, you know, home goes here behind the scenes. She ain't leading by example. She's the modern day Pearl Davis. She's the modern day Grifter that's leading a lot of young men literally astray and literally duped just to make a quick profit and just to fleece off young dudes, just like she's fleecing off of Tyrese. You know what I'm saying? Why would you trust a pseudo guru like this? Why would you trust some pseudo feminine coach or whoever she is to give you that type of advice if she doesn't even have her house in order? You know what I'm saying? Now, I get it. They have their own stuff that deals with like the legal matter of things. I get that there's people that will discuss these types of ordeals, but on like a psychological standpoint, when you're seeking the mental health specialist, why pick somebody like this that has all her stuff literally out on Front Street and doesn't have a full house in order and want to try and use her son as a pawn just so she can actually try to make profit off of somebody that's actually rich and actually doing well for himself? You know what I'm saying? That shows the type of piss poor character that she has, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to just try to leave it out there, and there's some other points I actually want to try to get with too as well. You know, there's other things too. They gotta make sure that mental health specialist is not biased in any form. You know, make sure she doesn't have any type of, you know, bias grudges or, you know, prejudicial grudges, racial grudges, however it may be, you know, that literally gets you set up for failure. You know, you want to make sure uniform treatment is all the way throughout. If there's nothing there, goodbye. Move on to the next one. You know what I'm saying? That's really, really the most important things that you really need to actually focus on is, number one, as I've stated before, I forgot all about the topics I literally had the advice. Number one, making sure they have their house in order, actually getting to know them a bit more, seeing what their mindset is. That's number one. Number two, have their house been full up in order outside the home, given like their backgrounds and everything else. Oh shit, let me start over. Pardon my language, by the way. Basically, so make sure you actually avoid the pills. You don't want to be a male specialist that actually gives you pills unless, you know, someone's in an extreme situation or someone has extreme deep trouble actually getting their emotion in order, you know, basically at a young age or even when they're growing up as an adults. High functioning case of learning disability to a point where they're not able to actually function, you know, basically self-sufficiently, right? That'll be the exception. That's number one. Number two, you know, it's a house mainly in order. And number three, are they prejudiced, right? So if they answer, you know, like if they don't actually provide drugs and they don't do that, that's a no, yes or no, you good. But if it's the opposite, you may want to reconsider which mental health specialties you mainly are taking. And I'm going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Chris and Paul from the Nerd Chronicles is signing out. Deuces.
The next time somebody tries to bring you down, remember this. Let's get into it. Number one, confidence is quiet, insecurity is loud. Number two, whoever is trying to bring you down is already below you.